I've seen this happen, and I've had clients come to me after leaving former prosecutors' offices. These are attorneys with really impressive credentials, but these clients always told me some version of the same thing. My lawyer kept telling me what the government had on me, they kept telling me how strong the case is, and I never really felt like they were fighting for me. And that's the perspective problem. A prosecutor turned defense attorney often unconsciously evaluates a case the way a prosecutor would. This means that right from the start, they've already halfway accepted the government's version of offense, and they haven't even started working for you yet. A career defense attorney, someone who has spent their entire career defending people against these charges, sees the case completely differently. We question the government's evidence. We push back on every assumption. We are trained by decades of practice to be skeptical of the government's case. That instinct is not something you learn in a few months after switching sides. It is something that becomes ingrained in you after decades of practice. Now I want to explain what I think is the most important difference between choosing a former prosecutor and a lifelong defense attorney to represent you. Mitigation. In federal criminal defense, mitigation is the work that happens behind the scenes. Federal sentencing is not just about guilt or innocence or about the federal sentencing guidelines. It's about the story that gets told about who you are in the courtroom. It's the evidence about what this person has contributed and what they are capable of contributing going forward. Effective mitigation can be the difference between a sentence at the top end of the guideline range and a variance well below, potentially saving you years off of your sentence. And here's the truth about former prosecutors and mitigation work. They have no experience with it. So when you're a federal prosecutor, you're basically just looking at the federal sentencing guidelines. Sometimes they will consider the mitigation work that a defense attorney presents to them, but they are not the ones working on mitigation from the very beginning of a case, like I do. Nearly 30 years of federal criminal defense practice, I know how to build the case that the government's case doesn't tell. Let me address one more thing because I hear this a lot. People sometimes assume that former prosecutors have special relationships with other prosecutors, with judges, with agents. This is largely a myth. Federal judges are impartial. They are not in the business of doing favors for former prosecutors. As for relationships with current prosecutors, yeah, they may know some of the people in the office, but so do I. So do the other defense attorneys. We've been in this industry, in this practice for years, and we have been working alongside or across the table from the same people decade after decade. But federal criminal cases are not resolved through relationships. They are resolved through the strength of the legal work that's done on the case, on both sides. I have spent almost 30 years building credibility as a defense attorney in federal court. That credibility comes from showing up case after case, prepared and committed. It comes from judges and prosecutors knowing that when I say something, I mean it because my reputation depends on it. That's a different kind of relationship than a shared history from the other side, and I think it's far more valuable. So if you or a loved one are looking for a federal criminal defense attorney and you're trying to figure out who to hire, let me tell you what you should look for. Someone who's not a former prosecutor. Someone who has devoted their entire career to defending people. Federal criminal defense is a specialty, and it's not something that you pick up overnight. What is their experience with mitigation? Ask them directly. Have they worked with mitigation specialists? Would they be willing to work with a mitigation specialist? Have you handled federal sentencing hearings? How many? How do they talk about your case? Pay attention to whether they spend more time talking about what the government has on you or how they're going to defend you. A good defense attorney is not naive about the evidence, but they are fundamentally and instinctively on your side. Do they actually listen? Federal criminal cases involve real human beings with real complicated lives. Your attorney needs to understand yours, not just the facts of the charge, but who you are, what happened, and what your life looks like on the other side of this. If an attorney makes you feel like just another client in your first meeting, that's a warning sign. I've been doing this work for a long time, and I chose this work because I believe in it. I believe that people who get caught up in the criminal justice system deserve someone who is genuinely fighting for them. I don't have any criticism of the lawyers who are making this transition. Many of them are very talented lawyers. But talent isn't the only thing that makes a great federal criminal defense attorney. Perspective matters, experience matters, and compassion matters. Compassion for somebody who is going through the worst experience of their life, I think matters more than anything else. If you'd like to talk about your case, I would be honored to listen. Call my office, 949-494-7011, for an honest conversation about your case. And if you want to learn more about mitigation, go to the mitigation page on my website. There is work to be done, and that work matters. So let's do it together.